Winning in real estate. This is a topic that is of interest to so many. So many women get into real estate, want to have great success, and only some of them do. Today's episode, we're going to go deep with one of the most successful women in all of real estate, talking about what women can do to overcome some of the challenges of being successful in real estate. And this episode is going to be one that's really going to help you take your game and those women who you work with to another level. Stay with us, folks. The big question is this: how do those of us in the real estate industry with crazy amounts of ambition, how do we think bigger than the building of our own empires? How do we simultaneously seek success and significance, income and impact? My name is Justin Stoddard, and this is the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. All right, welcome back to the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Justin Stoddard. Thrilled to be with you today. We're going to have a great conversation about women succeeding at the highest levels in real estate. I'm excited to have today's guest here with us. Her name is Lisa Copeland. Lisa, thank you so much for sharing your very valuable time with us, helping us learn how to help women really win in real estate.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited. I saw on your clip, you've got some of my good friends on there. So, and actually some of my real estate partners like Mr. Grant Cardone. So it's great.
I love it. I think I heard you speak actually at a big industry event, and I thought that lady's super bright. I'd love to get to know her. So this is the opportunity that we're finally making it happen. So
yes.
I enjoyed my time with Grant. It's fascinating to see what his career has done, just over the past 12 years, right?
I have a good Grant story. I met Grant. I used to be a car dealer. I used to own the number one Fiat Alfa Romeo dealership in the world here in Austin, Texas. And Grant Cardone walked into my car dealership one day trying to sell me training. And I tease him now. His wife, Elena, is my business partner in real estate. And I said, I'm like, you flew in on American Airlines. You had on a suit. You were trying to sell me. And I'm really glad I took that meeting, because a lot of car dealers wouldn't take meetings with him. They thought, oh, he's a vendor, he's selling training. But there was just something about him that I really liked. And thank God, 12 years later, I look at where we are today. So take the meeting, people.
I love it. You never know, right?
You never know who you're going to meet up with. That's right.
So for those that are less familiar with you, Lisa, let's give them some background. I know you're a top 1% luxury agent. Mm-hmm. You're the founder of Women Wire Inc., which is Women Winning in Real Estate, an acronym, which is lovely. Yes. And then also founder of Women Wire, which is a syndicate as well, where you're raising money to help women really succeed in investing in real estate.
Yes.
Just so fun. Talk to us about how you got into the real estate industry. I think for all the women out there that want to be super successful as you are probably saying, how did you get your start? What was it like when you first started? Were you a success right away? Or
No. I made mistakes. So, I kind of started real estate investing, probably 25 years ago. And that's back when you could assume FHA loans. Well, remember all those little FHA, you probably don't remember, you're probably too young, but all these loans were out there and they were assumptions, assumable, non-qualifying. So I was in the car business back then, and it was brought to my attention that it was like 7 houses on one street that I could go in, and like the balance on these houses, they were in Central Texas and Round Rock, Texas. The balance on these houses was like $70,000. We could assume all of these loans for $1,000 a house, 7.5% interest. So I was like, okay, I have $7,000. I'm going to have 7 houses on the same street, like all next to each other. That was my first entree into it. And then I decided I hated being a landlord. So I sold those houses. I got out alive, and so then, I was in the car business for many years. I said earlier, I owned a car dealership, a couple car dealerships here in Austin, Texas, and which is how I met my good friend Grant Cardone. And I kind of stayed away from investing for a while. Then probably in the last 6 years, 7 years, I needed I needed the depreciation. I needed something to be able to not pay Uncle Sam everything. So I really started following Grant. I started following what he was doing in the syndicate world, what he was doing in real estate. Had the fortune of actually going to their house one night in Miami. And I said, gee, when did you get so far ahead of me? And like in life, there was a day that he was calling on me and he needed me, And so, and he said it was the day that I got into real estate, Elsie, and you are late to the game. And I was like, wow. So, that was really a telltale sign for me. So I started investing in syndicates. I invested in Cardone Capital and a couple other syndicates. I bought some land. I bought some houses, higher end stuff. So when you have a higher end house, you have a higher end renter. Then I got into multifamily. So but have I stubbed my toe along the way? Absolutely. So I think it's critical that if you're looking to invest in real estate, you've got to have a coach. You've got to have somebody that otherwise you're going to make some expensive mistakes. And I've made them.
It's funny. I had this thought just the other day. I was thinking about Meta, right? Facebook and Instagram. And I thought in the year 2007, Mark Zuckerberg was broke. Like, isn't that fascinating?
It is.
Like in what, 15 years, 16 years, like he's gone from being like a college student. And I don't know if that's the exact year, but it's close, right? It's not far off that, to being one of the wealthiest people in the world. You look at Grant, right? Who was always successful at what he did, but went to billionaire status in a matter of a decade. And I think oftentimes
let me tell you, I've been on that Gulf Stream. Okay. It's real. People try to say it's not real. It's absolutely real. And, but when I first met him, he was flying in on American Airlines. So
one of the things that it causes, hopefully gives all of us, this reality check, is that where we are today is not where we have to be tomorrow. And the more you can get in proximity of people who have done what you want to do, right? And I've even seen that with Grant. When I had him on my podcast, he was a little more attainable, or reachable. And then, I attended his 10X Growth event in Vegas where he had Usher and, some other really big names, and John Travolta, and Dana White. And then last year had President Trump. And it's like,
the Trump one was amazing. I was there. I was on the front row. It was amazing.
His list of celebrities, right, that he puts on, that he's now in proximity with. There's no wonder. And I oftentimes tell people that hosting the Think Bigger Real Estate show has had the biggest impact upon me than anything else professionally, is because I get to be around people like Lisa Copeland, people like Grant Cardone. Yeah. And it has this impact upon you that is unseen at the time, but it's this magnetic draw to something bigger. It causes you to have to live bigger. You just can't live with yourself knowing that success is so much more attainable than what you had thought it was.
Million percent. Yeah. Yeah. No, and I agree all about, access to power. Right. And so, I did that when I was a car dealer, and, my team, I made a bet. I was the #1 Fiat Alfa Romeo dealer in the world. And I made a bet for my team and I to meet the chairman of Ferrari, who owned Fiat at the time: Ferrari, Maserati, Alfa Romeo, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. So I made a bet, and I told my team, I had a young sales team at that time, and I said, look, when you meet this man, it'll change your life. It'll change your career. And it definitely changed my life. And we did what we had to do to meet him, right? We had to break a world sales record. So, I want to tell everybody who's watching this, you've got to do what you've got to do to get in the proximity of great people. You won't just get there because, hey, I want to meet Grant Cardone. It's not going to happen. You have to be somebody in his orbit, somebody he respects, somebody, whatever that looks like. For us to meet the chairman of the board, and for me to be, have a great relationship with him after that in 2012 till the time he passed away. We had to do something big. Like, we had to break a world sales record, right? So you have to decide, but meeting these people and being in their proximity, being in their universe will forever change your life. I can call Grant day or night. Like I said, Elena and I are business partners in real estate, and it makes a difference. It makes a difference at my success level. It makes a difference at the level that I vibrate, like just in the universe and the people that I hang out with. So you just got to do what you got to do to meet the great ones.
And I think you bring up a really good point, is that it's not just a matter of getting in their presence, but one thing that I've learned about very successful people is that
you have to get their attention.
Yeah, that's right. Is it they're looking for talent all the time, right? There's always a shortage of leaders. When you are the leader of an organization and you're expanding and growing, you're on a hunt for leadership. And I'll tell you that leaders are becoming fewer and farther between as we move forward. And when you can find a leader who is taking action and making things happen, now it's a matter of being in their presence and actually having enough credibility to be able to stay in their presence, right? To be able to continue to have, their help and their guidance, because they recognize that you're going to be a very valuable investment. That the ROI on you is going to be great, right? It's going to be worthwhile.
Yeah. And I look at that with people who ask for my time. You know, I mean, Justin, I wouldn't be on your podcast if I hadn't done the research on you to say like this, you know, Justin's a player, right? It's worth me taking 30 minutes or 45 minutes of my day to pour into his audience. And so I think that, you know, we have to be really careful. Everybody does, right? With your time, and not only who will associate with you, but who are you willing to associate with, right? Like, I mean, you want to be successful, you have to play a big game.
You know, one of the favorite things that I took away from my conversation with Grant is he said, the best thing that somebody can do with advice that you give them is to go do something with it, even more than paying a coaching fee, than paying a consulting fee, than paying some access fee. Like if you'll just take what I gave you and go do something with it. And we had a great conversation about that it's true as a coach consultant. I now lead a company called Pro Insight. And it's when people will take action, it's like, how do I give more to that person? Because I just love seeing them change their own life and other people's lives. And I'm imagining that the amount of women that you've touched, that's probably one of the greatest payments that you receive, right? It's just seeing women absolutely take these gems that Lisa Copeland and your organization gives to them and watch them go change their life and the lives of other people.
You know, I just came off the stage at 10X Ladies. This is my third year to speak at Elena Cardone's 10X Ladies, but I got to follow Megyn Kelly, who's my absolute shero on planet Earth. Awesome. So it was Megyn Kelly and then me, and I was like, oh, and we had about 1,000 people in the audience, you know, and the topic of my speech is lioness, not a lamb, right? Like it's time to rise up now, whether we're rising up to protect our children, rising up to protect our country from this disaster that it's in right now, rising up to protect our businesses, whatever that looks like, right? You're a lioness, not a lamb. But, you know, be able to have like 1,000 people at one time in the audience and the energy of it, you know, and nobody puts on an event better than the Cardones. I mean, end of story. They wrote the book. They own the book on putting on amazing events. But this event was just fantastic. And afterwards, you know, and I talked about the fact that, you know, it's time to build your empire. You know, Elena teaches on how to build an empire. And part of what I do is teach women how to protect their empire, right? Mm-hmm. You know, there's a huge wealth gap between men and women. It's $1 million. So if you look at a 50-year-old man and a 50-year-old woman, same education, same background, same ethnicity, same everything, like level the playing field. He will have $1 million on average more in wealth. And that's because women hold 70% of their money in cash, because we're very afraid to go out there, put the money on the line. You know, women are just, you know, women just tend to have a scarcity mentality, unfortunately. Whereas men, you know, they're out making deals, they're cutting deals, you know, they're not afraid because in their mind, they're like, I'll just make more. You know, men are hunters, men hunt, women gather, right? And so there's, you know, whether it's their consumer purchasing preferences or it's the way that they handle money. We gather money, we put it in a bank account. I mean, I've got friends who are calling me. I'm like, I'm getting 4% on my savings account now. Isn't that awesome? I'm like, yeah, you can get 30% if you put it in real estate. What are we doing here? Assets are on sale. So, you know, but it's the mentality where the men, they're out there and they're like, assets are on sale. I'm going to put everything on 7, you know, 7 on black, I'm going to put it all down. And so that's where I try to help women get out of that mentality, out of that scarcity, that fear mentality, and understand the only way besides inheriting it or winning the lottery to build generational wealth is to build it through real estate.
Fascinating concept. And I think there's so much evidence to what you're saying, right? Is that not only is real estate the preferred vehicle of choice, but in addition to that, there's so many false barriers to entry that we put up ourselves, right? This mirage of security when we're holding money in cash, that by the way, inflation's out of control, right? And
inflation's 18% and you're earning 4. So you're still at a 14% delta.
And that's safe. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. Talk us through, again, your journey in real estate. Sounds like it was directly into investing. Were you ever, and are you, now I think I'm going to answer my own question here because I know this about you. You're a top 1% luxury agent. So yes. You've been in the trenches of both investing as well as in selling. And it sounds like you'll have a big name for yourself there. What advice would you have to somebody who wants to be great at being an agent? Because oftentimes that's where the investing starts, is to create a surplus of income that then you can invest in, for example, your syndicate, right?
Right.
What advice would you have? And I'm sure that we could spend days.
I think part of it is getting around the right people. So, I kind of fell into being a real estate agent by accident. So I sold my award-winning car dealership in 2016, went to Canada. I did with Kevin O'Leary. for the Shark Tank.
Yeah, yeah.
I did a TV show called Car Sharks. I was the main character on the show. I was the car shark, and then there were six other guys. I did that, wrote a couple books, and I was speaking all over the country to Fortune 5s on how to help their sales teams get unstuck. COVID hits, and my agent calls me out of New York, and he's like, we're canceled. And I was like, well, damn. So the only thing I hadn't done at that point is because another thing is I own a mortgage company. I have for 25 years. That's something I did a long time ago, but my husband has run it for 25 years now. So I've got a big real estate background. So when everything got canceled, I had 200 speaking gigs canceled within 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
crazy, millions of dollars. It was just distressing. And so my agent's like, hey, I was telling, he's like, hey, do you know who Tarek El Moussa is from HGTV? And I'm like, yeah, I've watched his show before, Flip or Flop. And he goes, well, he wants to meet you. And I'm like, why would he want to meet me? He said, because I told him about you, and you had told me that you were thinking about getting a real estate license. And I had told him that you know how to build sales teams and sales organizations. So I was like, sure, I'll meet Tarek. And so I met Tarek. This was kind of June, maybe May or June of 2020. He and I hit it off. And he said, why don't we together go build the biggest real estate team? And so we partnered with a company by the name of EXP Realty. So that was really fun and amazing. And that's who I'm still with today. And then, so the first person I called was Grant Cardone. I said, gee, here's what I'm doing now. And Grant's like, I'm not getting a real estate license. You're crazy, blah, 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 blah. And so luckily, through much negotiation, way more, I'm going to make it sound way easier than it was, because it was not easy. I got the chairman of the board of our company involved, Glenn Sanford. And I said, Glenn, have you heard of this guy named Grant Cardone? He's like, I've never heard of him, but let me go check him out. So he checked him out. Of course, he was impressed. And so Glenn got involved with Grant and got the deal closed. But Elena decided to be the one to get her license. And so not only is she my business partner, I have about 900 agents. Not only is she my business partner, but she's become one of my very best friends. So cool. It's so good. It's just so rich. And so the last 3 years, I've had the honor of gracing the 10X Ladies stage, and and just pouring into thousands of women that way, through the whole 10X community, which is, to me, the greatest community on planet Earth. I mean, these 10Xers, they are legit. They are diehards. They want more out of life. And so they're like sponges. Like, when we tell them what to do and how to do it, they do it. And I'm all about people that take action.
If you're listening to this and you're like, that's me, Lisa, I know you can't see me, but like, that's me. Where would people go, Lisa, to try and to get in proximity to somebody like you? What does that look like?
Yeah, I would just say reach out to me by email, just Lisa at lisacopeland.com. Elena and I do a bunch of different events. I'm actually bringing her here to Austin, Texas in 2 weeks. We're putting on a huge event for realtors here at the Board of Realtors, which is where I'm at right now. We put on events all over the country. She and I have been to Brazil, New York, Florida, California, Arizona. Like, we go and we put them on. And so not only do we want to help agents be better, and to invite them if they're, if we think it's a good fit for them to join our team, but just educating women on how to build, Elena's book is How to Build an Empire, And then I really show them how to sustain that empire once they've built it.
How to maintain it.
Yeah.
I love it. And it really is, real estate can be both, right? It can be
the funding mechanism, it's the worst of times.
Right. Well, it can be the funding mechanism and the preservation mechanism, right? When you do it right, when you're around the right people that can help you to do it wisely.
Mm-hmm.
So good. I've got a kind of a follow-up question here for you in our last couple minutes. You're a big thinker, no doubt.
Yeah.
What is it that Lisa Copeland does to continue to be a big thinker, to continue to expand your possibilities? What does it look like for you?
It's so funny. I would have answered that differently a day ago, but this friend of mine, he used to work for me. He was one of my general managers at one of my car dealerships. And I said something. I said, well, he was like, how have you been? What's going on? I was telling him, and I said, and I've got a really big deal in the works. And I said, if this deal closes, I'm going to retire. I was kidding, kind of tongue in cheek. And he said, you'll never retire because you like to win, and you can't win on the beach. And I went home and I told my husband, I'm like, how does that kid know me so well? And he worked for me for about 10 years. But he's right. I like to win. So, I think it's always the next big thing, the next, I wrote a book years ago called The Art of the Big Sell. And it's all about the big sell, right? The big sell, the big win. And so I don't know. I kind of just keep staying in the universe of these big sharks that I'm in now, and they push you to think bigger.
People that aren't like you don't get what you just said. People that
I
are
know,
like you get you. And they're like, yeah, there is something better than a beach. It's called the podium. Like, I want to win.
Right. Like when I was on that 10X stage speaking, it was like, okay, like this is my crowd. This is my energy. This is what fuels me, is to be able to, lay it all on the field, to that 10X audience. So yeah, it's amazing.
I get you, Lisa. Such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for taking time out of your very busy day, getting off stage, coming over here, hopping onto this stage. Again, such a pleasure. I look forward to having you in my network and being able to continue to collaborate, see what we can do together to expand each other's possibilities. So such a pleasure. And to everybody listening here today, my final request is this: go think bigger. Lisa, thank you, my friend, again, for helping us do that today.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Justin.
If you found value in anything that you heard here today, do me a favor and just take a quick screenshot of this episode. Tag me in it on social media. That will give you the heads up to create more content like this in future episodes. Also, if you are wanting to build your wealth advisory team in less than 30 days that gives you 2 to 4 professional referrals every month, go to proinsight.com, or you can reach